welcome back to Make Believe, where we're playing the house in Fata Morgana. Last time we were diving into the real version of the story, with Giselle being a maid from Michel's family house, according to her. So, while a lot of it is very similar to what we had before, it had its divergences, and I'm curious to see what else there is. Oh, also we got to see both from Michel's and Giselle's perspective, which that was a nice change, as these little things indicate which perspective we are at. Right now it's Michel's. The suspicion and restraint budding between us was trite and insignificant at that point. She was still smiling, after all. If I had been able to maintain that distance, then perhaps I wouldn't have ended up hurting her. And now we're Giselle's viewpoint. It had been a little under 2 weeks since I had moved in with Michel. Though we lived in the same house, we rarely saw each other. On unlucky days, wouldn't see him at all. Wasn't sure if he ate in his room or our schedules were simply misaligned, but we never had any meals together. Perhaps he was deliberately avoiding me. That has to be it. I know servant and master don't usually eat at the same table, but even so, he could be a little less obvious about it. Am I really that much of a nuisance? I'm not doing anything inappropriate, am I? I'm being pleasant and sociable, aren't I? Haven't given him any reason to not like me, I think. Nope. He had never been very enthusiastic about my staying here, but I hadn't been given a choice. I had been sent here by his family. Besides, no, out with the negative talk. Gotta stay pop. Yeah, he hasn't tried to chase me out yet. I just haven't broke the ice, that's all. Had to stay positive, optimistic, happy talk, and be myself. As long as I kept working at it, with enough time, Michel would surely come around and not be so distant. Right? I gotta go, so let's get to work. First, I make supper. Then, I ask him to have it with me. Gotta be proactive when it comes to the reclusive types. Alright, here goes. Or, here would go. But we're almost out of supplies. Well, so much for that. Cellar was where the non-perishable food was stored. Dried foods, smoked meats, peas, and a small scattering of root vegetables. Look at this makes me feel like a soldier holding down a castle of fortifications. Had Michel really gone 10 years on nothing but this? I would have raised the white flag long ago. He said he hadn't left the mansion at all in those 10 years. I assume he at least goes out to get supplies, right? Wait, so she's from the family household, but she doesn't know that they send the supplies to him? Running out of food is kind of a life or death matter, after all. Can't believe he hadn't set food outside even once in... What are you babbling on about? Ah! Oh no, he overheard me. I assume you were talking to someone. Huh? Does anyone else live here, Master? I haven't seen anyone. It is just the two of us. Alive, anyway. You mean there are ghosts? Something of the sort. There you go again with the jokes. It's a joke, right? Not a child. You're not gonna trick me like that. There are adults who believe in such things. I suppose. I don't really believe in ghosts or demons or curses or any of that. The church just tries to convince people they're real so they can squeeze more money out of them. Am I going to have to turn you over to the church, you blasphemer? No. I pray every day, honest. I just don't have really much money to spend on the church. I don't particularly care either way. I'm returning to my chambers. What? Already? You didn't, come down for food? I only came down because I heard voices. A moment, please. Just wait a second. What? Our stores are almost empty. What do you normally do when you need more food? I'll happily accompany you on a trip to the market. Ready? That was fast. There are 2 of us now. Really don't eat much, do I? In the dim light, it was difficult to make out Michel's expression, but I thought I could see a tinge of annoyance on his face. That's not good. Hold your ground, Giselle. You said you wanted to get closer to him. Ah, is that a parsnip? Michel was holding a tangled ball of fruits. The reason I asked was because the parsnip looked like it was on the verge of total decomposition. See? There's still food. He then handed it to me. Wait, you want to eat that? It's clearly seen better days. You're going to get sick. Or are you telling me you can survive on rotten vegetables? Of course I will eat it. You will. I just figured you were hardy enough to survive. See? What do you think I am? No, he's definitely a jerk. Or that the resulting diarrhea might reduce your appetite. You're kidding, right? You can't. Serious. Anyways, we should bury that outside. Then we can go purchase fresh supplies. I told you, don't go outside. Then how do you... Huh? A visitor? Who could it be? Perfect timing. You're a servant. Make yourself useful and go retrieve the package. If it's not a delivery, but a wanderer, fix them up. What? Package? Master? Hold on a second. What are you talking about? He's gone. What kind of delivery is he expecting anyways? Is this from Amazon? Michael stood there, unmoving. Michel stood there, unmoving, veiled in shadow. He glanced over at me, then drew his gaze to the front door. At his command, I raised the bar, fully opened the door, and a bright light came in. After nearly 2 weeks in time, the light from the setting sun almost blinded me. The world went white, my head pounding. After a few moments of intense blinking, my eyes acclimated themselves to the evening sunlight. There was no one outside. Only a crate, easily large enough to fit a child. Definitely from Amazon. Is this the package? Master? I turned back to face Michel, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. Though it seemed more like he was avoiding a look at the light than at me, to be fair. He's starting to seem more and more like a vampire. He isn't a vampire, right? I mean, not that I believe in vampires, of course. Regardless, I pray there's nothing bad in here. That's heavy. But Master, could I get some help? Gee, thanks. I am a servant, admittedly, but this is a lot to ask of just one girl. A little help would sure be nice. Once it's inside, close it and bar the door. He said dispassionately, his head still turned towards the darkness. As you wish, master. Once the door was shut, I found myself sucked back into the world of darkness. It hadn't been even 2 weeks, but the lack of light was beginning to become my normal. The outside world thrown further and further away. Being holed up in here is definitely not good for me. I should go for a walk sometime. Maybe plant some flowers or vegetables outside. Yeah, I like that idea. Maybe I can grow that old tangle of roots into some fresh parsnip. What else do we have to plant? It'd be great if there were some flower seeds. What are you doing? In a box. Now, as you wish, master. Oh, there's food inside? In the box was a burlap sack filled with berries, fruit vegetables, and smoked meats, as well as an assortment of bread, fruit, and wine. Aside from the fruit and bread, everything else was the same as what Michel kept in the cellar. Ah. Buried beneath the burlap sack was a single book. One book a month. He really hasn't gone outside in 10 years. It appears they have begun to grasp the situation. Yeah, but why? This was delivered by someone from your house, master, wasn't it? Servant. Why would they leave without saying anything? Want to talk, accursed men. In the past, they would occasionally check in on me, but that hasn't happened recently. You think you're cursed? Ah, right. You don't believe in curses. Then come up with your own explanation. An excuse for them to want to stay away from me. That, for example, I killed someone, or maybe that I'm insane. I couldn't. Regardless, I am not normal. Bring the food down to the cellar. The book to the library. You are, of course, free to refuse and run back into the woods at any time. I'll do it. Right? Then you take care of them. Hey! What is it? I just noticed there's something else in here. Wrapped in cloth. What could it be? Oh, painting. That's new. Were you hanging up somewhere in the house, I presume? It's so dark, I can't see it very well. But I'm sure it's... Don't touch that. What? Okay, he certainly changed. Michel, who had kept his distance from me until that point, suddenly marched over. And ripped the painting from my grasp. Master? His face was twisted into a look I had never seen him make before. Was it indignation? Disgust? Hatred? Panic? I couldn't tell, but there was more than enough negative pressure to cause me to flinch back. Is that painting perhaps, something important? a landscape painting. He muttered under his breath, the tension melting away from his face. I was left looking at his usual blank, impenetrable expression, but his eyes were so fixated on the picture, staring at it unblinkingly. Why a landscape painting? Kind of passive-aggressive message. None of anywhere nearby. Did they travel somewhere? Well, none of that girl, so that's an improvement. Is he talking about the white hair girl? Master? Oh, you're still here? Still here? Of course I'm still here. What do you think you asked to take care of the package? What's with you? Just running over and snatching a painting from me. You scared me. Could you maybe explain yourself? What's so special about that painting? I don't believe that's any of your business, servant. None of my... Of course it is. You ripped it out of my hands like I was some kind of thief. I have a right to know what that was all about. Maybe an apology while you're at it. You told me to open the box, so I did. Then all of a sudden you're angry. We are not equals. Do not mistake yourself for my friend. You have a right. No, I have no such thing. You don't have to be so rude. I'll say it again. Leave it if you don't like it. I never asked you to be here. That was your wish. My wish? Are you out of your mind? I never asked for this. I never wished for it. Who in the right mind would want to be sent to some house in the middle of nowhere? Who would ever want to go through that? No. Calm down, Giselle. You can't get angry. You're right, and that is what I wanted. But I never wanted to make you mad, or for us to argue like that. I just want to get to know you better. Get closer to you. I mean, it would make things smoother for the both of us. It would make living together more enjoyable for us. Listen carefully. This is very important for you to understand. Do not try to involve yourself with me. Do not go probing around for information. And if you can't do that, leave. I completely shut out. The glare he was giving me and the standoffish aura he was emanating were reflected in his tone of voice. Why? Why did he try to push me away like that? It seems Giselle really didn't know much about... Oh, right, we're on his perspective. It seemed Giselle really didn't know much about. Despite being sent here from my house, I wasn't aware of the monthly deliveries, as well as the reason why I lived in the mansion all by myself. Why though? Would they not have told her anything? Why had she been sent here, left completely in the dark? Giselle looked up at me, fear and bewilderment in her eyes, though I thought I could see a glint of suspicion beneath it all. Like her true feelings were bubbling to the surface. Everyone had darkness in them they kept hidden. No one was exactly who they appeared to be. She was undoubtedly thinking, I'm not here because I want to be. Bingo, you're right. I knew from the moment I first saw her that her bubbly, sweet act was all a facade. Had she thought I was dense enough to not realize, it was no different than anyone else. What I didn't understand was why she refused to leave, no matter how hard I pushed. What was she hiding beneath that innocent-looking face? What was she thinking? What did she carry on her shoulders? Everyone is hiding something, deceiving those around them. I had to figure out what she really. May I ask you something? Yes? On the day you arrived, you said you made a teeny tiny mistake while working my family's. Tell me about that. What did you do at the Bollinger estate? That moment, brief though it was, her disposition wavered. Fear. Terror? No. Perhaps anger. Couldn't tell. Nevertheless, it was abundantly clear that was a subject she had no interest in me breaching. And of course, we went to his perspective before the question, so we don't know what's going on inside her mind. And so she had borne her fangs. The smile she donned now was visibly forced. It's nothing you need to concern yourself with, Master. I promise, it was an insignificant little thing. See? And you're not telling him. So you're both literally keeping secret from each other. And he's the master and you're the servant, so he has even more right to know than you. You couldn't say. Why couldn't you? What had she done there? What did this woman know about that house? What did she know about me? What was concealed beneath that smile of hers? I am the master of this house. You are a servant. Though you refuse to tell me. But like I said, it's nothing. There's nothing, no reason to bother you with a mere servant's personal blunders, Master. What are you hiding? I'm not hiding anything. And you should be able to tell me exactly what you did at the Bollinger estate. Like I said, tell me. How? You won't tell me anything about yourself, and yet you demand others to tell you about themselves. Remember, you guys are not equal here. Here you are, practically threatening me. Demanding I tell you something I don't want to talk about. And yet, you still haven't told me anything about the painting. Oh, I was right. You do have something to hide. How many times must I repeat myself? We are not equals. I don't care if it's insignificant or something you don't want to talk about. What? I'm ordering you to tell me. Trifling blunder would not get someone who's sent to live with a cursed man in a house spoken of so unfavorably. Whatever she had done at the Bollinger estate, that had something to do with why she was here. If she truly hadn't done anything, then she had something to gain from this place. Or possibly from me. If that was the case, I had to get her to talk. Make me. Giselle's eyes were open wide. I wouldn't really say this is open wide, but sure. I recognized the look it was giving me. I knew very well what that gaze meant. You are an abomination. It was the same as them. Fear, contempt, revulsion, repulsion. The way she acted, the way she spoke. It was exactly the same. You're no different. It made her uncomfortable. Made her afraid. She thought I was unpleasant. She thought I was despicable. She thought I was an abomination. In a frenzy, I grabbed her by the shoulders. Um, wait, you grabbed her on the shoulders? I'm pretty sure there's skin here, so... Is the curse not real? Clamping down far more powerfully than I had meant to. Oh, stop! Her face, contorted in pain, morphed into someone else's. Who was I directing my anger at? Where was this rage being aimed? Who are you calling an abomination? See, at no point did she say that. What? What? Tell me, who? The black fear bubbling up from within me. You know it. The girl, she ridiculed me. She denied my identity with her glare. I couldn't escape from that reality. What? I never called you a... No, get away from me. Get your hands off me. Giselle's screams echoed in the entrance hall, rattling my eardrums. She frankly smacked my arms aside, and then came back to my senses. She was standing a little ways away, breathing heavily, arms wrapped tight around her body, glowering at me, showing her opposition by touching her. Lightning. No. You just, startled me. That's all. Some servant you are, telling your master not to touch you. Oh, right, I have, you know, I'm, allergic to people. Yeah, that's it. It's a very, very unique condition, I hear. I mean, can you believe that? You know how some people get all red and itchy when they touch a dog or a cat? It's that, except for people, so... Oh? So, sorry? I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I beg your forgiveness. Why don't you speak your mind? What? This is what's going through your mind right now. I have nothing to apologize for. But no, that's not... I can somewhat sympathize with your plight, being made to apologize. I know you're hurting. I raised my hand against you first, after all. Then you forgive me? Sympathy does not equate to forgiveness. Now, you take care of that matter. I'm heading back to my chambers. What is it? You're not going to make me leave after what I just did? No, I am not. For it would seem I can make you leave on your own whenever I so please. Besides, I had yet to learn what she had done. It would be extremely difficult to get the story from her own mouth, which left me with one option: to write a letter to her, as much as the very thought revolted me. Oh, okay. Him actually sending a letter. That's new. Several... Oh, her perspective now. Several days had passed since the package arrived. The end of my third week leaving the mansion was drawing near. Michel wasn't getting any friendlier either. He continued to either snub or bluntly dismiss me whenever we crossed paths. I didn't understand why he acted that way around me, but there was little point in asking when he seemed to think there was little point in talking to me at all. Although at first I had been sure there was some way to get him to warm up to me, the more time I spent in the mansion, the more my willpower began to feel like it was at its breaking point. I could tell myself to stay positive until I was blue in the face, but it would only work for so long. And our old friend here, the one pretty place in the whole house. Glad he hasn't covered it back up. Blue moonlight shone quietly through the stained glass window, faintly illuminating some of the room. I hadn't noticed until now, but the room with the stained glass window appeared to be modeled after a chapel. It makes sense. Rows of pews faced the window, below which sat what used to be a pulpit. There was very little left of it, though, and an awkward length of silver was mounted to the pulpit's front face. What was, I assumed, formerly a cross. Upon further reflection, rather than facing the window, the pews seemed to be pointed at the pulpit, or perhaps the cross hanging on it. I wasn't sure why there wouldn't be a chapel in the mansion, but I had no one to ask about it. For a house of this size, the statue of Christ or the Virgin Mary seems more appropriate. It's a very well-made chapel, at any rate. I doubted Michel had it built for himself. There would be no reason for him to cover the window if that were the case. You really think this is that recent? Nor had I ever seen him come to pray. He doesn't seem like one to believe in God. I'm not even sure if God really existed, then surely the world would be a much more pleasant, peaceful place. No unfair disparities in money or power, no senseless misfortune. I certainly wouldn't have found myself here either. God was evidently quite fond of giving mankind trials, so he would probably tell me with a straight face that this was one too. Or perhaps we simply had a false impression of him, and he didn't actually give us anything. He merely sat back and watched from somewhere far, far away. It wasn't his job to bring peace to the world or ensure our laws were fair. That was all mankind's responsibility. What is God? What are angels? I have no idea. Maybe the Bible has answers. Why should I pray to someone so far away anyway? How do I know my prayer is even getting there? But still, it's not like I have any other options. Oh, this is a new picture. Don't you worry. It all worked out. I promise. I already know where I'm going to work. It's a really prominent noble house. Way out of reach of some small-time merchants like us. So yeah, we're back in a flashback of hers before she worked as a maid. You never know. This could be my big break. I'm just wondering who she's talking to. Oh, I'm just kidding. Don't look so worried. I'll be just fine. Honestly, I'll make enough money for us to get back onto our feet. Oh, for goodness sake, I can handle it. Leave everything to me. You just wait. I'll make our family into something you can be proud of. Be fine. Yeah, say bye to Mom for me. Okay, so at least we know it's not the mom. It could be a sibling, it could be the father. I probably won't be home for a while. What? You're afraid I'm going to make some careless mistake? I'm not that airheaded. I can be a refined and elegant young lady. Those nobles won't even know what to believe anymore. If you don't believe me, how about I give you a little taste? How are you doing this fine morning, master? Your morning beverage is ready. Prepared with the utmost of care. See? How about that? Not bad, huh? What? You really think it sounded forced? I was the daughter of a merchant who ran a shop on the capital's main street. My father had passed away in a plague. Okay, it's not the father. So it was just me, my mother, and my older sister. Older sister? There we go. It would be a lie to say business was doing well. We struggled to squeak by day to day after taxes. But we couldn't just abandon the shop and leave the capital either. So we tried to make the best of what we were able to take in between the three of us. Then, my sister fell in love with a moderately well-off aristocrat. My mom and I were supportive of her and her desire to marry, but their union almost fell apart because she was not suitable for him. Merchants were hardly the lowest class. What we lacked instead was wealth. We needed another source of money beyond what the shop took in. If only we had money, my sister could get married. If only we had money, my mom wouldn't have to work so hard. If only we had money. It was then that someone from the distinguished Bollinger estate approached me. He said they were in need of Abigails and would love to have me. He said that if I agreed to work for them, the Bollinger estate would take care of my family. Generally speaking, noble houses took Abigails from other lower-ranked noble houses. It was unthinkable for someone of my status to receive such an offer. So I took it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance and accepted the offer. I just pray that nothing bad happens to my sister, and that Mom is getting enough money to live comfortably. That's all I can do. They're nobility. They have plenty of money. Enough to spare some... The light shining through the stained glass window began to grow murky, fading into blackness. It felt like a message from on high that no, my prayers would not be answered. The bluish-white illumination shining down upon me disappeared as clouds blocked the moon. Oh, come on. You don't even want to look at a sullied woman like me? Sullied woman? Huh. Oh, for heaven's sake. Never asked to end up like this. I am very curious of her story. Just like Michel was. Their nobility. They have plenty of money. Enough to spare some... Yeah, he overheard this part. Oh, come on. Don't you even want to look at a sullied woman like me? Oh, for heaven's sake. I never asked to end up like this. Giselle was sitting at one of the pews in the room with the stained glass window. Just looking at her, you might have thought she was offering a prayer, but the words coming from her mouth were anything but prayerful. They were filled with resentment. They have plenty of money. Sullied woman. And then, I never asked to end up like that. So this is what's beneath that facade. Most likely, money is what she's after. All I need to know now is confirm my suspicions with them. Just what awful secrets will I uncover? I gave Giselle, leaning in the pew with her head drooped, a cursory glance before leaving the shop. I had somewhere else to be. The bitterly cold outside air felt like dozens of needles flowing to my lips. It had been so long since I had stepped beyond the mission. A thick mist canopied the night sky, blocking out the moonlight. Naturally, the heavens did not rejoice at my leaving the house. It had been 10 years since I had seen the mansion from the outside, and it hadn't changed one bit. A gloomy scar upon the earth shrouded in darkness. Hardly the kind of place someone would enthusiastically approach. Nevertheless, it was better than that house. Sorry for all the coughing. Yes. Who is it? Oh. What? Michel Ollinger? Just one moment. I'll be right there. Come in. The humble abode, but make yourself at home. Now we're seeing a flashback of his. I wonder who is visiting. Wow, I must say, this is rather unexpected. Just one word, and I would have been up there in a heartbeat. And how was I supposed to do that? I am, regrettably, fresh out of carrier pigeon. Right, yes. My apologies. This man, living in a small cottage not far from the mansion, had been hired by the Bollinger family. His job? Watch over me. That said, we never actually interacted. He was tasked with keeping track of whether I was still alive, and whether I remained in the mansion. The monthly package from my family was delivered to him, which he then passed on to me. It was insipidly convoluted, but it was indicative of how much they wanted to avoid anyone learning about me. Well then, what can I do for you? The manservant was visibly rattled. Afraid too. But not because of the difference in social rank. I had a pretty good idea what he had been told about me. He was afraid of me. More specifically, curse. People fear that which they cannot comprehend. Not just children, adults as well. They fear demons, witches, and curses. Anything impure or not of this world. But I had long since gotten used to being viewed as such. It didn't sadden me. It didn't disappoint me. It didn't pain me. Some things were too foolish to concern yourself with. Though it certainly doesn't make me feel good either. I was, on some level, annoyed. That woman's appearance at the mansion had created ripples in my once tranquil life. So before I got to the real reason for my visit, I decided to take out a bit of my frustration. So this is not a flashback, but he's actually went to visit him, this other guy that we knew nothing about. Raise your head. There's no need to be afraid. I don't know what you've been told, but I promise I don't bite. How rude of me. You're right. My sincere apologies. Your job is to keep watch over me. If the mere sight of me has you trembling, what will you do if I tried to run? I would have little trouble escaping. That would be quite unfortunate. What would I ever tell your mother? Not sure that would end well at all. You could lose everything you've been paid so far. In fact, you might be lucky to get out for life. Surely your mother would not. You are aware of who you're dealing with, right? Michel, the cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family. So he has siblings, possibly an older brother, who made a pact with the devil. I don't need a blade to take your life. You wouldn't even make it back to report anything. Have mercy, Lord Michel. Please, do not leave the mansion. Please, spare me. Only joking. What? I have the power to kill by way of curse. The man fell silent, but the look on his face said, You are cursed, though. aren't you? When someone's got an idea planned in their head, it's not impossible to get rid of it. I am so cursed that anyone can see it, that I need to be locked away in a dark mansion. I'm curious to know about this version of this so-called curse, as it seems to be different from the one from the earlier story. I am here because I had a question for you, not to warn you that I plan to run away. The question? For me? Yes. Approximately 3 weeks ago, a black-haired woman came to the mansion. Tell me what you know about. I was told there would be an Abigail coming, but that's all. I don't know anything else about her. I swear, that's all I know. I haven't been told anything else. I believe you. Never thought they would tell you anything. Right. He had been hired to observe me. But that's all he was. Hired hand. He wouldn't be privy to the Bollingers family internal affairs. Take this. A letter. I need you to deliver it to my mother. You could have just left in the box from this month's package, and I would have collected it when I dropped off the next one. I am in urgent need of information. Will you do this for me? Yes, why, yes, absolutely. I'll fetch a delivery boy tomorrow morning. Much appreciated. Good night. You too. You'll take care. So yeah, we learned something new. There is another person here. Lord Michel. Yes? Is it true that you don't have... Would you like me to sew your mouth shut so you can never open it again? Not at all. My sincerest apologies, Lord Michel. That was horribly disrespectful. Good night. Cursed, I most certainly am. Made his way back to the mansion. So he had stepped aside at least. My mother's response arrived just 10 days later. The delivery boy must have pushed his horse quite hard. It was only exactly a month after Giselle had moved in. But that's gonna be for later. But okay, the story right now is very much different from the previous version. The painting, how he got angry at her, how he's trying to learn about the so tiny mistake she made, and he talked about, at least not about that woman. So I wonder if he's talking about the white hair girl. We learn a bit more about Giselle's backstory, and that there is also a man outside, that the one that delivers a package, that the packages are sent to him and he delivers them, and just like that, Michel can also send the letters to the family through him. So yeah, we're starting to get way more information now, and I'm curious to see where we're heading from this. And about his curse, like, it doesn't seem to be the same curse as from the previous version, as he held Giselle by the arms, and according to that image, you can't touch her skin on her shoulders. And there was also the other guy that he said that he wouldn't be able to kill him with the curse. So I wonder what this so-called curse is like in this actual version. But these are all stuff we'll find out eventually. And with that being said, see you next time. Bye!